Hello everyone, my name is John Mulhern. I'm the college principal here in the College of Amenity Horticulture in the National Botanic Gardens and I work in the Teagasc College here. Today is our virtual event where we have a number of students assembled and some staff to answer queries about what we do here in horticulture. This is the National Botanic Gardens. We've been embedded here as a college for many decades. We have a dedicated staff to delivering courses in horticulture. We train upwards of 250 students every year across the discipline of horticulture, across our certificate level, advanced certificate and degree level. And today, those students that represent those three courses will be online to answer queries. So we would welcome your input, because if you have a query around what horticulture might mean to you and what part you might like to play in doing a course in horticulture, we're here to answer those questions. This is the National Botanic Gardens. It has a 200-year history of delivering courses and training in horticulture. It's embedded here in North County Dublin. It has upwards of 15,000 plants in the grounds in this 57-acre campus, which is dedicated to training people and showing people all the plant life that it has here. We work in conjunction with the OPW, the Office of Public Works, and we work in conjunction with Waterford Institute of Technology. So we have a dedicated function to training people across our training programs. So I'd welcome your input today. I think we have 3 great students assembled, and I think they will be very useful to ask questions about what goes on a day-to-day level, what goes on during the course of the year in terms of our programs, and maybe you'll have that question today that you can ask them directly. So we'd welcome your input, and we look forward to good questions and good lively debate in our program. Hello everybody, my name is John Mulhern. As you've just been watching a video on the introduction to our event. Today we want to talk to you about horticulture, and we want to talk to you about the courses that we run in the Teagasc College here in the National Botanic Gardens. So to make that happen, we have been joined by a number of key people from our college. We have 3 excellent students, and we're joined also by Deirdre Walsh, our assistant principal here in the College of Amenity Horticulture. So we're joined by Kenneth Casey from level 5, who's completing his level 5 certificate in horticulture. We're joined by Holly Mc Quillan, who's joining us, who's completing her level 7 degree in horticulture here in conjunction with WIT. And we're joined by Peter Kelleher, who is joining us, who is completing his level 6 advanced certificate in horticulture. So I suppose straight off, there's probably terms there in terms of our training that will need to be asked. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to each of the 3 people in turn about their course, about why they are doing horticulture, about why they chose horticulture here in the Botanic Gardens. And that's the message we want to get across to you today. And obviously, this webinar is being recorded, so it will be available for future viewing on our Teagasc website. We're going to show you some videos now in the next few minutes, a couple of which were recorded in the past. So they will involve people that were the students that were working on the grounds before COVID, and we don't have to talk about COVID at all today because we all know the situation we're in at the minute and looking forward to a brighter future. But the first video we'd like to start off with was done this morning actually, and it was done with our assistant principal Deirdre Walsh in our Ashtown campus. Now, just briefly to explain, horticulture is delivered in the Teagasc College in 2 locations. Here in the wonderful National Botanic Gardens in Glasnevin, but also over in Teagasc in Ashtown. And that site is about 5 kilometers from here, and we would engage on that site with a lot of practical training. So we're going to show you a short clip of that first, and Deirdre is going to host that, a bit of a walkthrough of our facilities, and it'll show you what's there, and it might garner some questions. And after that, then I might bring Kenneth into the conversation, as Kenneth is our first participant, and Kenneth is completing his first year certificate in horticulture level 5. So we'll just open with that video now of Deirdre over in Ashtown this morning before it started raining.
Welcome to Ashtown. I'm here in our machinery workshop, an area that we're very proud of. You will find every kind of a horticultural tool in here, from hedge cutters to trimmers to 4 different types of mowers. And as we move out here, we've got 2-wheel tractors, cultipack seeders, stone rakes. And as we move up along the shed, you'll see that we've got our internal storage area with all our hand tools. And then we've got tractors and more types of precision mowers and lawn mowers. And we use all these machines out in the grounds in Ashtown to deliver all the machinery skills with our students. So next up, we're going to have a look at our Teagasc Garden of Hope. This garden was built over in the Phoenix Park in 2007 by staff and students of the college. It won 3 gold medals, which we're hugely proud of. And students, it was decided then that this garden would be recreated here at our Ashtown campus with all our student groups that are interested in landscaping. So students got to learn the skills of softscaping, which is all about the planting of the garden, and they also got to learn about all the hardscaping skills. So this involved kind of ground preparation, getting a nice level ground so that we could lay our paving. We've used a resin-bound gravel, and we've got set stones, paving stones. Once all the hardscaping was complete, then we planted it up. Each year we planted with a couple of hundred different varieties of tulips to enhance the concept of this garden, which was the Teagasc Garden of Hope, darkness into light. So we've got all our dark planting, as you can see, on the outside, and as you move into the centre of the garden, it becomes light and bright in terms of all its planting. So we're hugely proud of this, and students learned what it takes and the hard work that it takes to build a show garden. So it's very beneficial. So moving on, at our level 6 stream, landscape design and construction, our students build their own show gardens. A lot of the work that they complete in terms of the design is completed in Teagasc, in our Botanic gardens, in the studio over there. So they learn all their drawing techniques, they develop all their design skills, and then once they have all that in place, they develop a student garden together. So we're just going to go over and take a look at these now. Okay, as we move in here, these are our student demo gardens along my right-hand side. So these were completed 2 years ago by our 2 student groups, our level 6 groups. They would have studied landscape design and construction. So again, you can see the evidence here. The students worked in teams to complete both these gardens, and it took a huge amount of effort by both those groups. So again, they learned all their landscaping skills in terms of their how to lay patios, how to build walls, how to build timber features, and you'll see both gardens have water features, so they learn all these skills. This is our fruit and veg garden, roughly about 1 acre in size. It consists of a mixed orchard with lots of fruit bushes in terms of raspberries, blueberries, gooseberries, and then along my right-hand side we've got 10 vegetable plots, and measuring about 140 square metres each. So here the main skills that students develop are crop production skills, plant husbandry skills, and then the integrated pest control, IPM, in terms of biological and cultural controls and how to manage these crops. So students enjoy this area immensely. They complete fruit and veg production at level 5, market gardening at level 6. So students gain a wide variety of skills here in this area. So moving on, then we've got our tree nursery. So it's mainly planted with deciduous varieties of trees. And again, students learn the plant husbandry skills of the care and maintenance of a tree nursery on a small scale. So again, students stake the trees using best techniques to stake trees. Okay, so next up I'm going to take you into our Glasshouse facility. The educational compartments in our Glasshouse facility is mainly given over to plant propagation and fruit and veg production. So if I just take you in here for a quick look. These are liners and annuals that have been planted out by our students, and these will be mostly used in the development of the grounds here in Ashtown. So a lot of the planting that you see here in terms of the annuals, and there's some tomatoes and there's other fruits and vegetables there, will be planted out in our vegetable garden that you've just seen. So students learn how to sow seeds, and again, all about plant propagation. And we've got mist units, irrigation units, so students get to see all of these systems working, again, on a small scale. And then if we just take you into this compartment here, these are all the perennial production area and large tree area. So again, a lot of the plants that you see here will be used for the development or the landscaping of Ashtown, essentially, and students kind of fully engage with that process. We're lucky in Teagasc Ashtown that the Horticultural Development Department are located here. So the Horticultural Development Department carry out various research on a yearly basis. This year, I know, I'm just going to take you into our strawberry unit. There's various research happens here. And again, while students study here, they have first-hand experience of what the up-to-date research that's happening in horticulture. So next up now, I'm going to bring you out to our sports turf facility that was established here in 2017. So again, it's roughly about an acre in size, 3-hole golf course. So we're going to go now and we're going to take a look at that. Okay, so this is our sports turf facility. Again, students that are interested in the maintenance of golf courses, amenity, pitches, will practice all their skills here. So again, a lot of the mowers that you would have seen in the machinery shed, such as the precision mowers, are used down here by the students. So they gain hands-on practical experience of the maintenance of such a large area. Again, at a small scale, but when they can bring those skills with them to their workplace.
Very good. So you've just seen Deirdre, our assistant principal, doing a run through on our facility in Ashtown. So at this stage, I just invite in Kenneth Casey, who is a level 5 certificate in horticulture student. So for the viewers that are watching this, you've seen an expose, I suppose, to the National Botanic Gardens, a quick walkthrough by myself and our other site then over in Ashtown. And we conduct our activities across both sites. We're lucky to be embedded with the OPW here in the National Botanic Gardens, and we're able to deliver our programs with hand in glove with expert gardeners, and we have the benefit of the large plant collection that's here. As you've seen from Ashtown, it's a site that's building. It's a site that's building since 2015, and we've been adding bits on all along. So Deirdre went through machinery, the student gardens, she went through the nursery, the fruit and veg, and the sports turf. So all of these areas are areas that students are exposed to. Kenneth, welcome. How are you doing?
How are you, John? Not a bother.
Good. Kenneth is actually, that background that Kenneth has is the teak house, which is here in the National Botanic Gardens, and it's a lovely background. So Kenneth, you're studying level 5 at the minute, and you're currently on placement. Could you tell us a bit about, we'll say, why you decided to opt for horticulture level 5?
Yeah, 100%. So I was in a position where I was in employment directly after secondary school and worked all the way through up. So I decided it was time for a change. I had a passion for horticulture and a keen interest in that side of science for it as well. So I made the decision to jump over. I was actually an attendee at one of these open day events as well last year. So the questions that actually
you got hooked, Kenneth, did you?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, yeah. There was some other people speaking that kind of hit a few notes home with me. So it kind of pushed me over the fence, as it were, and then deciding what I wanted to do. I got plenty of support throughout the experience as well. I was speaking with Deirdre prior to ever sending an application form in. She was kind enough to spend just about 25-30 minutes on the phone with me, answered every question I had. So yeah, and like I said, look, it was a keen interest beforehand as I was coming through. As you mentioned, now I'm on work experience at the moment, so we've got a lot of the curriculum out of the way. We're kind of on the practical side of things now. So I'm currently on placement. This is my second weekend there, which is fantastic given we have had.
You're doing an eight week placement, Kenneth, in a nursery in North County Dublin. So that's an intrinsic part of all of our training, indeed across Teagasc, but certainly in horticulture at level 5, you do 8 weeks continuous block training. And up to now, you have been, we'll say, engaging, as every student has, online to a certain extent, but you were in the college before Christmas doing some face-to-face practicals until we had to change with the restrictions. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so it was a lovely way to start the year. And again, there's no better feeling. Anyone who's into horticulture will know of the Botanic Garden. So it was something special about the first couple of months, being able to walk in and out of the main gates of the gardens as well, and kind of being a part of everything that was going on behind the scenes, really, really, really good. But again, look, even though we do have a lot of stuff that's done online, we are restricted. Look, we're following rules, same as everybody else. But that doesn't mean we can't get creative. So where we have been, for want of a better word, kind of forced to stay at home where we are, doesn't mean we can't get some ounce of practicality, even if we have to do it one by one or just alone. The lecturers are there to support us with it. We've had some pretty genius suggestions coming in on how we can actually complete practicals online, and a great community amongst the students as well. I mean, it's no fault of any particular one person, so it's great to see everybody coming together as well, and often support and helping out. But all that aside, with the actual practical experience now being on placement is brilliant. You really, really get a good chance to apply everything now that we've been learning in theory and really put it into practice. And coming from a working background as well, and having some kind of degree of education on how the business is run, and it's really nice to be able to apply that information into what I'm seeing now. So again, you're applying the practical skills, and you really get a good idea of how the industry is run. Get an idea of perhaps what you might do when you're finished. So,
and the way your course is structured, essentially, your course is a 28-week program plus your placement. And in that program, we endeavor to go through the very basics of horticulture, from plant science to soil science to plant propagation to plant protection, and then the use of plants, maybe around the fruit and veg, which we saw Deirdre walking through there in Ashtown, or indeed landscape maintenance and construction. So it's a first-year foundation course which allows you to look forward. And if I could just ask you, Kenneth, is there a particular area in horticulture, because we do know it's so broad and it's so wide, but is there inklings now as regards where your future in horticulture might go?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it is level 5, as you said yourself, so you get a lot of stuff thrown at you. I came in initially looking at fruit and vegetable production. That was my driving force coming in. I have friends who have some setups down in Cork that I kind of had a little bit of experience with, and I wanted to contribute. Yeah. As the year progressed, however, my most difficult subject, which is I was struggling a little bit with the sciences when I'd come on. As I said, it's quite a long time since I've been in school. That's now transformed into my primary subjects, which is the ones I'm enjoying most of all. And I think that might actually change the direction of how I'm going to proceed now through level 6.
So you've become more interested in the science element, Kenneth?
100%, yeah. And I would recommend keep an open mind when you come in. I came in with the idea of fruit and vegetable production, but once I started to get a taste for the sciences, and that's where I found myself doing the most amount of study, reading the most amount of extra material, and enjoying myself in the classes and lectures. So I'll be keeping that open mind throughout next year, but I do think that that's the direction I'll be heading in. All right.
Okay, very good. And I mean, we do cover science, but as students would say, it's science at an applied level. So every element that we talk about, we try and connect it with either the soil or the plant itself, and providing foundation knowledge. So you don't have to be an honors science student or anything like that to come on to our program. Yeah.
Not in the slightest. Now, like I said, it was a leaving certificate of mine, but 16 years ago. So it is but a piece of paper now. But like you said, you hit the nail on the head with the practicality side of things. I mean, it's great to learn the science behind it, but just to put it in a flow as such, you're looking at a plant, you learn the foundation information of what you're looking at. And then you begin to pull the curtains back. You look at it in a little bit more level. But as you said, it's not just sitting down looking at paper. Everything is practically orientated. I mean, you can look out your window and you'll find several examples of where you can apply the information you're just after learning, which is brilliant. Your mind is racing coming home. You begin looking at things in a slightly different way,
Very good. Okay, thanks, Kenneth. Okay, at this point, we'll just pause with Kenneth for the minute and we'll move on to our next clip. Our next clip is of Peter Kelleher. And Peter is a student of our advanced certificate in horticulture, and Peter is following the food stream. So the video you're about to see was shot with Peter last year. pre-pandemic when Peter was in first year. And it just shows you the interest and the knowledge that Peter has picked up. And then we'll talk to Peter thereafter and see how he's getting on now as he has advanced into his certificate, his advanced certificate in horticulture. So we'll play that clip now.
Well, I choose horticulture because... Hello, my name is Peter Kelleher. I'm studying horticulture level 5 full-time here in the Botanic Gardens in the Teagasc College. Well, I choose horticulture because I'm looking to go into market gardening on a small scale. I think it's becoming increasingly important in the current environment where people are keen to see where their food is produced and how it's produced. So I would like to produce market garden vegetables and fruit on a small scale and then tell other people how to do it as well. So that would be my main motivation for studying horticulture. I worked for 20 years in a different career, and I felt that horticulture was something that always interested me. I always had a deep love of growing. I grow my own fruit and vegetables at home, so I said I would get a more formal education in horticulture, and that's why I chose the Botanic Gardens, because it's top-class facilities, and you have world-class lecturers here who are instructing you. Okay, so one of the skills I've just recently learned is how to propagate from cuttings. So I've taken cuttings earlier on from plant material outside, and now we're just going to see how we actually pot up. So what we've done there to pot up is I just, using my secateurs, I just cut off the bottom part of the material, the plant material. Important to keep your secateurs closed. Do you pull off the leaves at the bottom and then pinch off the top so you're protecting the plant. I dunk it in a bit of fungicide here. That's just to keep the plant clean as I'm preparing to do it. Then we're going to get some rooting powder, and the rooting powder there just helps the plant as it's developing. So then I'm just going to get, this thing is called a dibber here, so I just get the dibber and plant into the tray here, and I just push it down there so it's kind of got a nice snug feel around it. When I have the tray all planted up, then what I do is I bring it to the system. The system is just a warming bench, and then there's plastic on top of it, and you plant that down onto the warming bench.
Okay, Peter Kelleher, you're welcome. How are you?
I'm very well, John. Yeah, I was just looking at my neatly trimmed hair there. A year is a long time for hair growth.
Yes, indeed. We're all suffering the same fate, I'm afraid, until that aspect of the economy opens up. But Peter, that was a very nice video that you did with us last year when you were pursuing your level 5, and a testament to the plant propagation module that you were following. You nailed it in the potting shed, I think, in demonstrating what you were doing there. So well done on that. So Peter, at the minute, you are doing advanced cert horticulture level 6, which is essentially the second year or step-on program from level 5. Now you're doing a stream that we call food production. Just tell us about your own journey briefly, Peter, and how you graduated through level 5, and then why you chose your particular stream at level 6.
Well, as I mentioned in the video there that we showed there, that I was interested in small scale food production, and I think that is as important now as it was last year, and in fact it's becoming increasingly more so as supply chains are confused, and we don't know exactly where our food, how our food is produced, and certainly as a father of young kids, I want to show an example and produce it on a small scale. Now, how studying horticulture in the Botanic Gardens has helped me achieve that is the level 5 has given me a firm base in horticulture and in growing and in plant husbandry, and indeed, as Kenneth mentioned, the science. Now, and also Kenneth mentioned how the applied nature of the science, how everything you learn from a scientific perspective is applied. So it's applied science, and I didn't even have leaving cert science coming into this, and I found it quite manageable, and a lot of the assessments are done in a kind of a practical way. So if anybody is daunted by science, I would say that the content and the delivery and the applied nature of it makes it quite manageable. What to kind of rotate back to your question then is that I studied level 5. It gave me a good basis. There was a lot of content. There was the year was very detailed. It was a very steep learning curve. And then the idea of producing a small scale market garden fruit and veg has stayed with me actually. So that's why I'm actually the stream I'm going down now. The food production stream is actually called market gardening, and the optional modules I do on level 6 are based around that.
Yeah, and just to give that broad context to level 6. Level 6 is 16 weeks coursework, and it's 16 weeks placement. So it's 32 weeks in total. So you started your level 6 with us just in January of this year, and you'll finish that in April, and then you're going on placement. So, I mean, certainly food, you espouse the value of food production very strongly, Peter, and it's a trend actually we've seen in the college in the last number of years. There's a real grow for learning food production and moving into food production streams, and I think that will continue. And your desire is to maybe grow your own and to indeed convey your knowledge to other people from your base in just outside Dublin, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, I'm actually in North Louth, and yes, I would ultimately like to kind of spread the gospel really of small scale production, and there is a place for large producers, of course there is, but I think that we can supplement that huge production with more sustainable ways at a smaller scale. Yeah. And yes, I've actually started the course in January, but I completed 8 weeks of placement just before Christmas. And the placement, I suppose the beauty of the placements in horticulture are that because they're land-based, a lot of them can be done around the restrictions. When I was studying before, when I was on my placement before Christmas, I was adhering to all the guidelines, and I would be careful myself about that kind of thing, and I felt that there was no risk or anything like that. And then now in May, I finish up on the 3rd of May after the teaching period has been completed, and then I will go into I have a placement arranged with a large fruit producer in Meath.
In County Meath, that's right, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's pretty much settled. The T's aren't crossed and the I's aren't dotted just yet, but I would suspect that that's where I'll be starting on the 3rd of May.
Yeah, I mean, both yourself and Kenneth have espoused the practical side of it, and it's a massive part of horticulture. And it's a testament to our own staff's resilience and their ingenuity that we can continue our work in an online platform and using the online platform even to try and to deliver some practical work across this medium. But in normal cases, obviously, a course like yours, Peter, there's an awful lot of outdoor work in it. There's an awful lot of, we bring students on visits to outside stakeholders to view what's going on. And there's classwork, but it's not easy, Peter. And I mean, just to say, I mean, you have a lot of assignments, and there's a lot of coursework to do. And I'm not, it's not easy, is it? But you're getting there.
Yeah, it's. I suppose the thing is that a huge amount of the scoring is done on continuous assessment.
So you're building marks as you go through your program. Everything you do carries some sort of weighting. So you're continually pushing forward material, and that's important for students that come into the college, either in level 5 or level 6, that they're recognized for that continuous assessment, isn't it?
Yeah, and just to expand, very, very briefly on continuous assessment is that the continuous assessment for your practical for your practicals, and then your assignments, you're building marks all the way. So it really does take the pressure off when it comes to exams. So, I mean, if people who are watching this are concerned that, my God, will I be able to push everything in and study hard for one particular exam? I found that continuous. I'm now I preach continuous assessment all the time. You know, for the leaving cert and all these.
Yeah.
And these courses, it's a great way to learn a topic and to have knowledge of that topic, but then to move on and start on a new topic, and you have your marks banked, and going into your final exams, then you have the module either passed or close to passed, and it does take the pressure off from them.
It does. And just to add as well, in Peter's level 6 course in the advanced cert in horticulture, there is options to do landscaping, there's options to do turf grass, and there's options to do nursery stock, which kind of mirror the enterprise set that we have in the Botanics and over in Ashtown. Peter, that's excellent. I'll just pause that for a second, and I would then like to move on to our next video, which is a clip of Holly Mc Quillan. And Holly is a degree student here in the Botanic Gardens in the Teagasc College, and Holly is completing her year 3 in the WIT degree in horticulture. And this video again was done a while back, pre-COVID, when Holly was in her first year of the program. And after the video, we'll have a chat with Holly to see how she's getting on currently.
Hi, my name is Holly Mc Quillan. I am doing a 3-year degree, level 7, run through WIT and Teagasc. I chose horticulture here in the National Botanic Gardens on Teagasc, purely because the Botanic Gardens is I guess the best place in Ireland to be studying plants. Grounds here in the Botanic Gardens are just full of amazing, unusual species, and actually most days I'd have a little walk around just to familiarise with myself with the different plants. I've also got some great new classrooms. The college was opened a couple of years ago. The staff here as well, so today I'm on my sections day. So we do a day working here in the gardens, which is actually my favourite day of the week. The gardeners here all have incredible knowledge, just from talking to them, it's amazing. And from that, I'm getting an idea of different ways I could go in my life. So yeah, it's good. It's good to have that wealth of knowledge. A lot of practical based modules, and they tie into what you've learned in the classroom. So it's brilliant to have both of those cooperating together, I guess. On the grounds as well, you learn so many life skills or skills in gardening, whether it's edging, weeding, all of these different things. We've done, on the sections days, I've done a wide variety. I've cleaned seeds, which was really interesting, and learned that they're sent off to all botanic gardens around the world. So, as I said, I'm a mature student coming back here. It was a no-brainer for me. I knew I wanted to do it, but I think even if you're not sure about what you want to do, studying horticulture is always going to be a good option. You spend your days outside, it's good for your head, and not only that, it's just, it's the best way to learn. Is, as I said, once you have botanic gardens on your CV, you can go all around the world.
Very good.
Hey,
Hi, Holly, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Well, as you said there at the end, once you have botanic gardens on your CV, you can go all around the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
Isn't that a great point to make about a qualification? You know, that the qualification that you get here in Glasnevin is it will allow you to travel.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it really does. It opens up a whole world to you, you know.
It does, yeah. Now you're in year 3 of your degree in horticulture, and this is our degree qualification that we run in Teagasc in conjunction with our partner Waterford Institute of Technology. So that video was shot a couple of years ago, Holly, when you were in first year.
A long time ago.
Yes, indeed. But how has your journey progressed, Holly? You've been through 2 years. What are the standout moments of your learning?
Oh wow. I mean, there's been so much. I've really enjoyed the electives, you know, in second year, like the lads were saying, you do your sustainable food production or sports turf. I chose landscape design and architecture, which was really interesting. I absolutely loved it. I'm a real kind of plants person, so that called to me for sure. And then I had the placement was amazing as well. I did my placement, thankfully, just before everything all went a bit crazy in the world. I managed to get off and do 8 weeks placement back in January last year. And then
where did you go, Holly? Tell us where you went.
I was in Tresco Abbey Gardens, just on the Scilly Isles and just southwest of Cornwall. So it was absolutely beautiful. It's
wonderful,
incredible garden. So yeah, I was in my element. And then this year has been amazing again with the electives. I chose nursery stock and nursery stock production in the first semester, and then this semester has been incredible. I have social therapeutic horticulture, and also landscape design, interior landscaping and floristry, and they're both really, really different, unusual subjects that I never would have thought, would I'd be learning through this, it's great.
3 or 4 years ago, you didn't think that you would be exposed to such a breadth of knowledge, Holly?
Not at all. No. I mean, I came into this course, I wanted to do it for years. I put it off for years and years. My mom actually did the course 20 years ago. She got her just before it became a degree. She was in Concealy and then in the Botanics. So I kind of had it on my radar for a number of years, but I wasn't ready to come back until only about 3 years ago. So it's the best decision I ever made. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you're a wonderful ambassador, and like, you're in year 3, you've done your placement abroad, you're finishing off your program now in May. Lots of pressure on you. You're doing 6 different subjects per semester, and there's 6 semesters in your program. Now, one of those semesters is your placement, where you spent that over in Tresco in second year. But like, you have a lot of work on your plate, Holly. Just one of the things you mentioned there earlier was the students in year 3 are asked to do a project, and this is a self-directed. It's a self-directed project. Tell us a bit about that and how that is shaping, your future career path, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's kind of like, say, a thesis. It's our equivalent of a thesis. So in our first semester, we have to do like a scientific paper, and then the second one, we have to go out and actually do the research. So on our chosen subject. So myself and my group, we chose the effect of school gardens on children's, like the benefits of school gardens on children. And also their environmental awareness and their awareness of nature. So it's been a really interesting subject to be reading into and researching, just to kind of see people's disconnect, but also there's kind of like that light at the end of the tunnel, that there's a lot more programs and projects out there trying to get that connection back, so it's been really interesting.
And that ties in with that subject that you're doing called social and therapeutic horticulture. And it's often a case that, horticulture is very prominent, we'll say, in national schools, and it kind of wanes as people go through that. But your project is helping to examine the relationship that takes place between horticulture and young kids. Isn't that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it does tie into the social therapeutic as well, in the sense that there's all this research about how the natural world affects us, whether it's through our mental health, our physical health, or just like our connection with nature. And it has really been an incredible thing to be looking into. Yeah.
So when you're finishing up in May, Holly, and your future career path would involve maybe something around the large scale gardens.
Yeah, so that's kind of the way I've been leaning, particularly after the sections days. First of all, you saw in the video, I was mad about those, working in the gardens. I love it, and then again with the placement, it really like made me consider that as a career path. So I'm hoping I've applied for a scholarship there for to go back to Tresco. So fingers crossed I get it in September.
Good. Fingers crossed.
And then through that, then hopefully I can get in with either the OPW or one of the gardens, a nice private estate like Powers Court or any of those. So, but we'll see what happens, because as I was saying about the modules, like I love that social therapeutic horticulture. There's a lot through that I'd like to, investigate more. And then even one of our modules this year, the arboriculture, Eileen is great. She's one of our lecturers. She's brilliant. She really has a passion for trees, and it's really, yeah, infectious. So I just want to keep on learning. That's it. You know?
Good. Well, that's well said. I mean, and a lot of students that we find, I mean, it's a good cue to mention that, you know, in our college and in most Teagasc colleges, you will find a lot of students that want to progress their learning. And while a lot of students might come in and say, you know, they want to dip their toe in the water and see what horticulture is about, they end up going all the way on the ladder that we have, which is level 7. And that's a testament to what you've just said, Holly. Just to explain there, Holly is sitting in with that lovely background behind her in Ireland's only tropical rainforest. Isn't that right, Holly? You have that lovely background, which is actually behind me as well, which is the Great Palm House. And that's one of the standout locations here in the Botanic Gardens. And what you mentioned there, Holly, in relation to section work. So what that is for the viewers is that's work whereby the students, as part of their coursework here, especially in level 5 and in the WIT first year course, they're allowed work on the grounds of the Botanic Gardens. And you know, that's all going to happen as well when we're in a better place and when we approach more normality. But that's what, Holly, that's what you mean by your section.
Yeah, and also we do, I mean, that's just the section days, but there's also so much more practical stuff as well. In Ashtown, we do like your fruit pruning, you do like your lawn, laying of lawns, everything. We planted trees. It's just, you learn so much from the practical side. And now in third year, there's a little bit less practical, probably also because of COVID. I shouldn't say that word. So it's good because you kind of progress from a nice balance of practical and assignments in first year in the level 7, and then it progresses, you know, whereas third year, like you have different subjects. We're doing tax at the moment. We did managing your business and doing law as well. And I know they don't have nothing to do with horticulture per se, but actually it gives you the tools that you'd need if you wanted to open up your own business. Do you know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people do. They have their landscaping businesses, and it just prepares people for the real world.
No, I'm glad. That's a fair point, and it's something that maybe we'll get to in questions shortly. I mean, the main difference between what you're doing in your horticulture course at level 7 versus level 6 or level 5 is that there is a large emphasis on business subjects, and that's there for a reason. I mean, that's there because stakeholders who we work closely with want students who graduate to have a clearer understanding of business acumen. Like, what I might do at this stage is actually bring back in Peter, Kenneth, and Deirdre if they'd come back in to join us, and we just have a discussion around some of those elements. Welcome back, folks. How are you? So just on the point there in relation to what viewers might wonder, well, what's the key difference between doing a level 5 program, a level 6 program, and a level 7 program? And Holly was just mentioning there that, you know, there's a lot of business subjects in third year. And the key difference is, you know, between level 7 and level 6, for example, is that the business is there to give the learner the business acumen, so that when they do go out and get a career in the industry, that they know a bit about taxation, they know a bit about PRSI, they know a bit about payroll and things like that. And employers are looking for that. And that's really strong. Isn't that the case, Holly?
Yeah, absolutely. And I never would have thought I'd say these words, but I actually love tax. I love that module. It's surprising. It's one of those things that you realize, like, I didn't know I liked math so much, but it's one of those things that it's a really good subject to have, like a string to your bow, you know. So I kind of understand it a little bit better. So
yeah. And those subjects we work in conjunction with our colleagues in WIT. So for Holly's program this year, I mean, obviously a lot of it is done online, and those classes are taken via Zoom, as in most classes are taken via Zoom at the minute. And it's something that we've all gravitated onto. But I mean, there's a huge passion coming from all of our staff in terms of the the topics that they deliver. There's absolutely no question about that. Deirdre, we might take one or two questions. I think a couple of questions have come in on the chat.
Yeah, we'll just go back to your last point, John. There is a question there about, I suppose, what's happening in the college currently and what is September going to look like?
Yeah, so I'll take that one, and maybe the students can come in as well. But at the minute, I mean, we're in a level 5 lockdown nationally, so our programs have moved online since Christmas, and we're looking forward to that being lifted in due course. Before Christmas, we were working in an online environment for the majority of our theory-based learning across level 5, level 6, and level 7, and we had socially distanced practicals before Christmas. Now, in a normal year, and we'll hope that September will bring some element of normality, our students will be back in the classroom, our students will be attending practicals. I suspect there will be some element of, social distancing that we will adhere to going forward. And I'm very fond of the blended learning model myself. And I think it's something that we've adapted to very, very well in the college. And we will have blended learning. And I think there will be an opportunity for our learners to tune in to lectures, to look at them in a recorded sense. And maybe the students like to come in and add to that. But I feel it's a good resource for our students to have, especially with some of the technical detail, to be able to go back and look at a lecture in their own time. Anyone want to comment on that? Peter, Holly, Kenneth?
Yeah.
Peter, yeah.
Yeah, well, in my previous job, right, the I think called flexibility was always number one. So you always had the flexibility. So what being able to do blended learning is that it adds flexibility to the students, to how the student engages with the college. So, to be sure, there is no substitute for actually being in class or being in a practical setting, and it wouldn't be true to say that that the online learning is just as good, because it's delivered very professionally, and it is a very good option. But it is no substitute. However, it does have the added flexibility that you can review lectures if there's circumstances that arise that you can't actually come into college on a particular day. That's a very useful tool.
Yeah.
And Holly was speaking about it yesterday, is that you can just listen to the audio as you're doing something else, and some of it is probably going in.
Yeah. Kenneth, have you any comment on that?
Yeah, just exactly the same. I think the main thing is you're kind of putting the option into the hands of the person rather than telling them. You're asking them, what would you rather do? And Peter's nail on the head. There is absolutely no substitute for a live lecture. Again, you get the question and answers out of the way. There's a different feeling to learning in real time as well. You're participating as part of a group, of course, when you look back online on something that's very solitary. The benefit of that being, there could be an evening of a Thursday or Friday. Many times happened to me when you have a lot going on in the house. You have an hour or two free, and rather than sitting down and chewing your brain watching some Netflix show or other, you pull up a lecture, make the next week a little bit easier. Especially, you have a lot of assignments coming up. Get a step or two ahead of yourself, and having that option there to just go in and access it whenever you want is fantastic. You do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop. It's very handy. It's not a substitute for live lectures, of course, but having it there as an extra option is brilliant.
The flexibility is useful, there's no doubt about it. And one of the things we've done in the last 6 months, and Deirdre has headed up a lot of this, is worked with technology to install good hardware technology in our classrooms, that we'd have the facility to stream and to record our classroom events, and we look forward to using that next year. So like most institutions, we've had to adapt, and we've had to adapt very quickly. So we have. Okay, Deirdre.
Another question there, John, is basically around part-time learning. So what are the options or is there part-time options at level 6? And if you're a part-time learner, how does that work with the full-time courses?
Okay, so how I'd explain that is, about 5 years ago, we started looking at breaking down our major courses into what we call minor subject components. So take, for example, Kenneth's course, which is level 5. that course contains 9 subjects. People have the opportunity to come along and do 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of those subjects at a time and not do the whole 9 together. So what they do is that they pop in to the likes of plant propagation or plant identification, and they just do that because they're trying to find out, is horticulture something they want to do? And we've had a lot of success with people coming on board to do those individual modules over the last 4 or 5 years. And it has culminated this year. We have 80 level 5 part-time learners that are doing modules. And that's on top of the other 35 or 36 full-time learners. So there's a real want for part-time learning. And what they do is they dip into that subject and leave it. In Peter's course, which is level 6, there are 6 subjects in that program that Peter is following. And like that, people who have previous experience in the industry in that particular field, if they jump 1 or 2 hurdles for us, we'll allow them in to do an individual module there on a part-time basis. And again, they follow the timetable that we set out. And like that, there's a good few people doing part-time modules like tree and shrub management, like ecology in Peter's program this year. So there's a real grow for that sort of learning. You can even do it on Holly's program. WIT will allow you to pick individual modules that are possibly up to 10 credits in size. So they're big chunks of learning, and you can come along and do those on a part-time basis. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, perfect. And then just another one, kind of, what are the opportunities for field trips? Now, they may have been limited the past year, but so what do field trips look like? And maybe the students might be able to comment on some field trips that they have attended.
I'll talk about that.
Off you go, Holly.
We had, I mean, in first year, one of the first ones we did is we went to Jimmy Blake's Gardens in, Jimmy and June Blake's Gardens in Blessington. And that was like, I think only in September or October of my first year. So that was an incredible experience, straight up, you know. And then, I mean, you do a lot of trips for things like, we did one for biodiversity. We went to, I think it was Castletown House, I think, in
It's
Kildare.
in Maynooth. Yeah, it's in Maynooth, yeah.
Yeah, and that was incredible. We got to meet the head gardener and talk about biodiversity and how they manage the gardens and the grounds for wildlife. So that was really interesting. Unfortunately, this year we missed a couple of those, like particularly with nursery stock production. That was when I was kind of looking forward to seeing some of the way some of the nurseries worked. But I mean, we had enough information and information from Paul anyway, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, and even with design as well, design was great for that. We visited oh god, now I can't remember what it's called. Can't remember it, sorry.
Well, Holly, can I just pitch in there? You mentioned you did advanced landscape design. Now, one of the things that your class was involved in was a very big developmental project here in Dublin City with a large scale city developer, where you went into their offices, your whole class, and gave a full presentation. And that project is coming to fruition now.
Okay, I didn't know that. So they're using the designs, is it? The Wilton Park.
Well, Deirdre, you better answer that question. Are they using?
Yeah, so it's a continuation, Holly, from and some of your classmates are involved this year with Wilton Park. They're developing further concepts for the planting for the park, and then it's envisaged then that next year's group of students will be involved in the actual planting of the park.
Oh,
so,
brilliant!
So continuation from your group from last year.
Yeah, that was a great project actually, because it will kind of put you out of your comfort zone. You have to go in and present in this like office space, and it just brilliant.
But Holly and Peter and Kenneth come in on this as well. Doesn't it just go to show the careers that you'll end up in? You know, they could be largely urban based. I mean, it's fair to say, you know, there is a movement of people from the country into cities right across the world. You look at what's happening in any country, and people are looking for horticulture in urban areas now more than ever. You know, so that experience that you had there, Holly, with iPut, you know, it'll serve a real purpose. Peter, do you want to come in there?
Yeah, definitely. I think knowledge of horticulture and planting and street planting and all that is going to become ever more important. The idea, with global warming and that, the concept of urban heat islands, they can be mitigated somewhat by appropriate planting and things like that. And the more people that know about these things, the more people who are engaged in the and even if there wasn't global warming, you're going to be planting more green spaces, and that, that's just better anyway. Even if there was no concept of global warming or mitigating against pollution, it's just a nicer environment, and that's certainly going to become, that's going to be a growth industry into the future. And in relation to the field trips as well, we took 5 field trips that I can recall in first year. And that's not considering, I used to actually envisage, I used to kind of imagine that Ashtown was a bit of a field trip every week as well, because, I used to love going down to Ashtown. It's a lovely place to be as well as the Botanics. The Botanics seems to get all the praise when you're talking about this, but Ashtown is a lovely place to be as well, I find.
Well said, Peter. Kenneth?
Yeah, look, it's applicable everywhere. I mean, look, like I said, I came from a learning and development background in terms of employment, so I was based couple of different companies, but always around Rodgers Key area of Dublin. You see that's being changed a lot. I mean, it's in 10 years, it's serious changes. You're seeing these changes being echoed throughout other business parks as well. There's now a massive demand and requirement to have green space areas amongst these places. This is only kicking off as well, so again, even coming from that, I kind of had that in the back of my mind as well. These were places I look forward to walking over to. They'd have food marks here, they'd have food trucks, but it's just nice to get away, but I could see this becoming more and more of a demand as these technology companies are increasing their workforce here as well. They need to take this into account. So if you're looking for more of a practical way of doing something, again, the work is there. And if you're coming from a background like that already, you may have several contacts that you would be able to go back and use this education to further your career anyway,
Well said. Deirdre?
Kind of just following on there, there's 2 questions or 3 from in the chat here, wondering about work experience, and is it easy to gain work experience to get a job? What are the job opportunities? And also there's a question directly for the students there. Did you find it difficult to get work? I'm going to say work experience, work placement, and then maybe you might take that question.
I'll shoot in there first with the job opportunities. And one of the things we'd say about job opportunities is that you can go out there tomorrow morning without any qualification. And if you can drive a machine or handle hand tools, you probably will get a job in horticulture. But the thing to remember is you'll still be doing the same thing after 5 years. And the company will leave you doing those things in 5 years' time, when you'll be wanting, or maybe even 3 years' time, when you'll be wanting to expand. So our mantra is you get your qualification and you move into the job market. There's lots of opportunities for people with level 5, level 6, and level 7. But like any discipline, the more qualified you are, the more doors will open for you. There's no doubt about that. There's about 15 to 18,000 people working in the horticulture sector in Ireland that covers all elements that have been mentioned here on this show with the 3 students, from nursery to sports turf to landscaping to amenity to food to interior landscaping to floristry. There's a very wide breadth of employment out there, but the higher your qualification, the more qualified you are, and the more experience that you have. And I'd always say to students, get more qualifications, get your driver's license, get good at IT, learn to love tax like Holly Mc Quillan. These are the things that employers want. So you should be building up your CV of tickets of what you can do, what can you offer, and what value added are you offering to yourself. In relation to placements, we run a very good, we run an operation with placement hosts. So Louise Jones is our placement officer in the college. There's one in every Teagasc college in the country, a placement officer, and they work with the students to nominate placements. So Holly ended up going to Tresco through Louise Jones and through her endeavours. Peter Kelleher is going to a big food producer out in County Meath, and again that's through our placement officer network. and Kenneth is in a nursery in North County Dublin, in a very big nursery there, and that's done through our network of host farmers in conjunction with Louise as well. So that's how the placement works, and it's fair to say, you know, placements are part of education. Education has continued, you know, during the pandemic, and placement has been allowed on that score.
I would suggest, John, as well, that if there is, you know, opportunities for hosts that the student I went out and looked for a particular host, so there is scope for them to get registered. So and I found that the college there was very amenable to finding your own hosts if it suited you better. Now the host has to meet criteria, but none of them are owners, especially if it's a good employer.
And it's fair to say, Peter, and it's continuing from the question, that a lot of students, when they find the right placement, it guides them towards that career as well. And I think Holly espoused that very clearly, in that she went to placement to Tresco, and now she's looking, isn't that right, Holly? You're looking at maybe a career in the Parks and Gardens service.
Yeah. I think as well, it's kind of what you put in, you know, if you're passionate about something and you put in just that little bit extra, and you have a goal that you want to achieve, like Peter was saying with this sustainable food and having his own business, and that, like, if you go for it, if you try your best to get what you want, like, you can achieve it. I know that sounds real like motivation, but, like, you know, that's the way I think anyway.
Very good, Holly.
Couldn't agree with Holly. Just a quick one of that. Couldn't agree
Kenneth,
with
go on.
Holly. It's a very, very good sentiment on it. Again, even on placement, people are worried about it. If it's restricted, I was spoiled for choice of where to go. But the more work you put into it, get on top of it, contact, pick up the phone, start ringing people. People are incredibly enthusiastic and welcoming. They want students to come in. Everybody on that list is on the list for a reason. They want students there. They want to pass the knowledge on. And I'm only a week and a half in. I'm already on very, very good terms with everybody in this company I'm working with. They're all incredibly friendly and really willing to help out. So it's not something I'd be worried about in placement at all. I'd more angrier thinking that'd be something to look forward to. You know, get out and meet some new people as well. And again, you'll be received very well.
Well said. Well said. Okay. Any other one there, Deirdre?
Well, I think we've kind of more or less answered them all. There's just one query there for our level 7 course. Is that run in conjunction with WIT or anybody else?
WIT. WIT is our partner. But the course, a key point about that course is that the WIT degree program, it's a 3-year program, and Holly would have done it year 1, year 2, and year 3, and you can apply through the CAO, obviously, for it. It attracts CAO points, but within our college, people can join that course by stepping off at either level 5 or level 6 to go into the WIT program. And all of the learning in the WIT program is conducted in Dublin.
You don't have to travel to Waterford, Jan.
You don't have to travel to Waterford. You don't have to get in your car and travel down the motorway to Waterford, except to get your parchment.
And then maybe one final question then, how do I apply? How do I apply for a course in the Botanics?
Well, I mean, the quickest way is to go online onto the Teagasc website. If you're applying for level 5 programs, or you're applying for level 6, or indeed component awards, go on to the teagasc.ie/Botanic Gardens website, and you'll see apply online there. Now that's how you apply for your level 5 and level 6 programs. For applying for the degree program, that's either directly through the CAO, if you're using your Leave and Cert points, or if you're a mature learner and you're coming in and you're looking and you might have maybe a level 5 or level 6, you can apply through the Advanced Entry portal on the WIT website. And that usually opens in March and April. So keep an eye on wit.ie for that. And that's something that we would promote, obviously, internally with our students as they approach the finish of their programs in level 5 and level 6. So yeah, the most information that people are looking for is on the website. But in saying that, I mean, look, we're here and we're all working, largely remotely, but we're still available for contact. And, you know, in any given day, you could have 2 or 3 phone calls with people. And that's where you get to really, you know, open up the queries that people have. Like yesterday, I had a 25-minute phone call with a guy who was you know, very similar to our 3 excellent people here today, maybe looking at options for himself. And it proved very, very fruitful. So I'd encourage anybody to ring us. Our numbers are on the website, on the Teagasc website, and make contact. And whether it's our front house administration, our excellent administration will take queries or direct them to myself or Deirdre. We're happy to do that. Now, I'm conscious of time. We've gone over the hour, and I'm conscious that, well, first of all, our students' time. In fact, our students were telling me not to be running over time, so I apologise now.
John, I know I said it to you, and it was me in particular, but I'm like a cat. I'm like a cat on a griddle here, because I looked at Paula's question, and I know I'm probably annoying everybody by saying this, but if I could just mention one thing on Paula's question there.
Work away, Peter.
I think if I grasp her question correctly, it's how, you know, level 5, level 6, and level 7 qualifies you for particular work, or for paid work. And what I would suggest, and John, you can contradict me if I'm wrong, is that at level 5 and at level 6, it doesn't actually get any specific access to any job market that you wouldn't have. Level 7 does, but level 6 doesn't. 5 and 6 don't. But what I would suggest, and I think it's more in your tune as well, is that they can arm you to go into the jobs market with more knowledge. And also, if you want to start your own business, you have a basis of knowledge that's very, very important. So you can get, like, the OPW will take you on with level 7, or they may take you on, you have to apply obviously, but they may take you on with level 7. But with level 5 and 6, you don't get specific access to any other, any superior job opportunities, other than the fact that you have increased knowledge, and you're preparing yourself and you're arming yourself with that knowledge. So, I mean, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't maybe have the as much confidence that I could produce food and stuff sustainably. Yeah. So that's I hope that answers in a more. I hope that answers Paula's question.
I think that's very useful. That's very useful.
Some of the placements are also paid at more, like all the placements are paid. Some of it is a nominal rate, but some producers, if you enter negotiations into them, they'll pay you what they pay, you know, what they pay the regular workers. I know that the placement I'm going into, I'm being paid at an hourly rate rather than a student rate.
A weekly rate. Okay. Yeah. That's.
I won't say any more. Thank you, John. Sorry.
That's good. That's good. As long as the knowledge is being transferred, that's what's most important. Listen, folks, I'm gonna wrap it up. I want to finish out by thanking most sincerely our 3 student contributors: Kenneth Casey from level 5, Peter Kelleher from Advanced Cert level 6, and Holly Mc Quillan from her degree in level 7. 3 excellent contributors. Thank you so much for your free engagement and your passing of knowledge to our audience. You've been a star. I want to thank Deirdre Walsh very sincerely for putting a lot of effort into putting the production together and making that video this morning in Ashtown. Thanks a million, Deirdre. I want to thank all of our staff as well. A lot of people might work behind the scenes in these events, and there's a big cooperative effort when it comes to putting these events together, and I want to thank the staff for that as well. And I want to finally thank Declan McArdle, who is working behind the scenes here, and he's a Teagasc colleague that is our production guru for putting this together. So listen, Declan, thanks a million for that. As ever, our events are all going to be on the website. Our next event is actually at the end of March, the last Friday in March, where we'll probably specifically mention, we do these Try Horticulture events at the end of each month, and we've done 2 so far, one at the end of January, one at the end of February. The one at the end of March, we might specifically look at our level 6 program. So we'll have more about that on our website and on our Facebook and Instagram pages to follow. So we wish you luck, the viewers, in your endeavors. We hope you try horticulture. We hope you consider it. We hope it stimulates some queries for you that you may come back to us, and we're glad to answer. We're here to help out. So with that, I'll finish out, and the best of luck to everyone. Thanks, folks.